For baseball fans, this hot stove league has done little to w.arm things up. Maybe it's the snow. Maybe it's the boredom of a glacial free agent market. But Rogers Hornsby's words keep coming to mind. People ask me what I do in the winter when there's no baseball. I'll tell you what I do. I stare out the window and wait for spring. Impatience now gnaws at the nerves of fans everywhere as we stare out the window, like the great Rajah long ago. We dream up trades and free agent signings that would warm our winter and maybe make next autumn joyous. Perhaps the only fans who wake up euphoric every day are those who adore the world champion Astros, who just traded for Gerrit Cole, and the Yankees, who landed 59-homer slugger Giancarlo Stanton. For the rest, even those whose teams have filled most of their needs, the winter's business still seems unfinished. The word that teases us, tempts us is blockbuster, like the day 3 years ago this week when the Nationals unexpectedly signed Max Scherzer for $210 million. In 2015, Mad Max pitched 2 no-hitters and a 1-hitter with 16, 10 and 17 strikeouts in those games. Since then, he has won back-to-back Cy Young awards and had a 20-strikeout game, too. Now that's a good winter. Admit it, we've always got blockbusters on our idle hot stove minds. This week I wrote a column, then tore it up, that suggested the Nats trade center fielder Michael A. Taylor, prospect Juan Soto, 19, and right-hander Gerrit Cole to Miami for center fielder Christian Yelich who, the past 2 years, has hit .290 and averaged 20 homers, 90 RBI and a .838 on-base plus slugging percentage, which is 26% higher than the average hitter. On payroll, plans in the rest of the Nationals offseason. How valuable is the 26-year-old Yelich who would be under team control for 5 years for just $58.5 million? In the past 4 years, Yelich's, Fangraphs, WAR is 15.9 compared to 19.1 and 19.0 for the Nats' Bryce Harper and Anthony Rendon. Also, Yelich hates to hit in huge Marlins Park, with 18 career homers at home versus 41 on the road. Spring him from that joint, and all his numbers might tick up. Then if Harper leaves Washington as a free agent after this season, the Nats have an outfield of Yelich, Adam Eaton and 20-year-old Victor Robles, the number 3 prospect in MLB. And there'd be money sitting around to sign Rendon to a long-term extension. Yelich even hits lefty, just like Harper, which would keep the lineup balanced. If Harper signs for 10 years with Washington, that's great, just trade an outfielder. Piece of cake. See, this is what snow will do to your brain. I suspect Taylor is already on the verge of being roughly as good an all-around 20-homer, 20-steal, .800 OPS player as Yelich, and a better defender in center with a big arm. In his final 110 games last season, including the playoffs, Taylor hit 21 homers and batted .282. As for Soto, he projects as, well, another Yelich in 2 or 3 years. And Cole's a useful 5th starter or long man. Luckily, I didn't talk myself into believing that Yu Darvish, who blew the World Series, or Jake Arrieta, who has lost 2.5 miles per hour off his fastball since his Cy Young season in 2015, is worth more than $120 million. Why, I even wondered how NL save leader Greg Holland, like Arrieta, Scott Boras' client, would look in the Nats bullpen. Then I slapped myself in the face. I wouldn't touch Darvish or Arrieta on a long-term monster deal with someone else's 10-foot pole. In 3 years, I think they'll both be financial anchors on their franchises. As for Holland, stay away. In his last 20 games, including playoffs, his ERA was 9.41. Talk about fading fast. In baseball, the hardest winter virtue is patience. If you already have a 97-win team like the Nats, which improved its bullpen radically as the season progressed, and discovered fresh talent when vets were hurt, you need to keep that potent concoction intact and see what it can do in a full season together. Maybe modern manager Dave Martinez will know how to use the roster more efficiently. There's a point when more paint doesn't make the portrait prettier. But you may smudge the canvas. Over the next few weeks, it will be hard for many teams, including the Nats and their Boris buyer of last resort Ted Lerner, to keep an itchy finger off the blockbuster trigger. The longer nothing happens with this offseason's frozen free agents, the crazier it'll be when the thaw comes. It's not just Darvish, Arrieta and Holland who'll be tempting. J.D. Martinez, 45 homers, and a trio of standout Royals, Eric Hosmer, Lorenzo Cain and Mike Moustakas, are all on the market. Does anyone want catcher Jonathan Lucroy, past batting champ Carlos Gonzalez or right-handers such as Lance Lynn, Alex Cobb and Andrew Cashner? Throwback Thursday, the day the Nationals signed Max Scherzer. You could construct a hypothetical 25-man roster that would make the playoffs, and maybe go deep in October, out of the 160-plus unsigned free agents. So, why is baseball as quiet as a politician's conscience? Perhaps what we're seeing now is a new form of coordinated salary suppression by MLB teams, akin to the collusion catastrophes of the early 1980s that I covered. Those 2 off-seasons of price-fixing ended with owners paying the players hundreds of millions in damages. I don't think we're there yet. This may just be a fluky slow-to-gel market. But if the storehouse of valuable unsigned free agents is still jammed to the rafters by the end of the first week in February, all my antennae will go up. More likely, what we're about to see is a period of marvelous mayhem in which a lot of very good, but imperfect free agents circle the available chairs at the baseball table, playing musical millions. As each player signs, the kaleidoscope of rosters will shake. And trade options will become clearer for those teams that don't get the free agent they wanted at the price they could afford. As the days pass, and the Nats probably participate only at the edges, try to remember how good this team will be if its roster merely duplicates its average performance of the past 2 years. The rotation of Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, Gio Gonzalez and Tanner Roark would have records of 18-6, 15-4. 13-10 and 14-10 with ERAs of 2.75, 3.01, 3.71 and 3.68. The back of the bullpen of Sean Doolittle, Ryan Madson and Brandon Kinsler would have ERAs of 2.99, .2.77 and 3.08. If you want a potent lineup, assemble a skein of players who all get on base more than the average big leaguer, .324. Here are the 2-year on-base figures for Adam Eaton, Tree Turner, Harper, Rendon, Daniel Murphy and Ryan Zimmerman, .366, .351, .391, .375, .387 and .319. After taking over full-time in center last year, Taylor was .331. That lineup will score a ton. If a new catcher arrives to split time with Matt Winters, .295, perhaps Alex Avila, .377 and 16-17, the summer may feel like one long rally. There, don't you feel better now? Why, that snow is even melting. Pitchers and catchers report in less than 4 weeks. Between now and then, more than 150 free agents will pick their teams. And, with more supply than demand this winter, dozens of them won't find a